Tell me a little about yourself. I'm a hard worker and I like to take on a variety of challenges. I like pets, and in my spare time I like to relax and read the newspaper.
What do you do to stay in shape? I like to take long walks with my dog on a regular basis, and I also go on weekly hikes at a trail near my house. How would your mother describe you?
I think my mother would say I'm very friendly because I had a lot of friends, and that I'm very focused because I always finish what I start.
How would your best friend describe you? Oh, let's see. I think my best friend would describe me as honest, detailed, and very organized. Did you have any trouble finding this place? A little bit. I didn't realize that there was another building back here, so I drove by a couple times. But that's okay. I eventually found it.
Why did you choose your major? I majored in biology because I initially wanted to go to med school. Although I decided not to go to med school, I still wanted to complete my bachelor's degree.
During college, how did you spend your summer vacations?
I have a strong interest in traveling, so I used my summer to travel. I went to Europe, Australia, Brazil, and China. Which category do you fall under? A person who anticipates a problem well, or a person who reacts to a problem well? I'm good at dealing with problems, so I'm a person who reacts to a problem well.
How do you manage having so many things to do, such as work, family, and school? I'm very organized, and I plan everything I do. This helps me to easily find a balance between family and work.
Tell me about your last 3 positions. I only had one position. In my last position, I worked as a marketing analyst for South American markets. I worked closely with partners in Chile and Argentina.
What are you looking to gain from your next job? I want a position where I'll be challenged. I want to learn a lot of new things, and I want to continually grow. So I'm looking for a job that will provide these things for me. What's the most recent movie you saw?
Oh gosh, it's been a while since I've seen a movie. I think it was Spider-Man. I like to spend my time outside, so I don't see movies that often.
Who do you think are our 2 major competitors?
The 2 competitors of Nokia are Motorola and Samsung. Motorola has a strong presence in the United States, where Samsung is more global.
What do you do when you have a problem with a coworker?
I've always been told that I'm a great person to work with, but if I were in a situation where I was having a problem, I believe I'd work on a relationship by being more understanding. If you could change one thing about your personality, what would it be and why? I would like to be more of an extrovert. I'm a little quiet and a little closer to the introvert side. I would like to change this because I would appear more friendly.
What do you do when you have a problem with your boss?
I'm very open with my manager. I feel it's important that my manager knows about how I feel. I always start a conversation and try and solve our differences through professional conversation.
What's the most recent book you read?
I have a strong interest in World War II, so I was reading a book about Hitler. It's quite interesting to see how he grew up and what led him to his hatred towards the Jews.
What do you do when there's no work to do?
Usually when I have nothing to do, I ask my manager if any of my peers need help. If not, then I usually spend time studying material that'll help me on my next project. Tell me about a time you failed to complete an assignment on time. I feel I should have been more firm with the 3 additional days I requested. I like to meet difficult deadlines, but I knew the additional work was too large to finish on time.
Why do you want to leave your current job?
My current company is very large, and it's difficult to do different tasks. We have routine work that never changes. I want to work in an environment where I can utilize more of my skills.
What course did you like the least?
I struggled in music class the most. I really enjoy listening to music, so I tried to learn a little about it, but it was a disaster. My tone was off, and I couldn't tell if something was flat or not.
How do you handle conflict?
I treat most conflicts the same. I analyze the conflict and create a list of steps I can take to resolve it.
By thinking about these steps and taking action, I found that most conflicts are easy to handle. What do you expect from your manager? The most important thing I want from my manager is constructive feedback so I know where I need to improve. I want to continually grow, and having a good manager will help me achieve my goal. Are you a risk taker, or do you like to stay away from risks?
I take risks because through planning and working smart, it's possible to reduce some of the risk. So if there's a reasonable chance of success, I would take the opportunity.
What kind of salary are you looking for? I know that the average pay for this position is roughly around $45,000, but because I have a couple years more experience, I would want something around $48,000 to $50,000. Have you managed people in any of the positions you've held? Yes. I have 1 year experience in managing 3 people. I distributed work to each member of my team, providing assistance and guidance, and mentored each employee to be a better employee. What do you do when you have a problem with your job? Whether I'm happy or unhappy, I'll always do my best work. If the problem I have with my job is affecting the quality of my work, I will identify the problem and then take steps to find solutions. If you don't understand your assignment and you can't reach your boss, what would you do? I would investigate the assignment deeper by searching for more information, asking coworkers or other managers, and make the smartest decision on how to tackle the assignment. If you have problems or complaints with your current job, why haven't you brought it to their attention? I actually told my manager several times. I told him about my desire to learn new things and take on new challenges, but there aren't many opportunities in my current group. How will your performance in your worst class affect your performance on this job? My performance in my worst class will positively impact my performance on this job. I struggled with the logic class, but I studied harder, researched more information, and I never gave up. Do you see that stapler? Convince me to buy it. This stapler has the best value. With a 15% lower sticker price, it provides identical functionality with the more expensive brands. It's durable and staples through more paper than the other brands. If you could learn something, such as a new skill, what would it be? I want to learn the different ways to market globally. In my marketing team, I learned everything about marketing on a local level, but I would really love to learn about marketing to different countries. How do you intend to learn what you need to know to perform well for this job? I have experience in learning new concepts without training. I usually look through books or manuals to find answers. Because I'm good at learning, I'll study relevant material to help me do my duties well. If you don't leave your current job, what do you imagine you will be doing in several years? To tell you the truth, I feel I'll be doing the same thing I'm doing now. I always look for more work and different opportunities, but my current company doesn't have many opportunities for advancement. What do you do when there are too many things to do? I usually plan, organize, prioritize, and then work real hard. I always keep my cool and work on one item after another. I found that this is efficient instead of worrying about how much work there is to do. What did you hear about us? I read on your website that ABC Company provides accounting services to small and medium-sized corporations. I also know ABC Company is the leader in tax services in this area. That's why I'm excited to have an opportunity to join this company. What is your management philosophy? I believe in setting an example. My favorite managers in the past were the ones that worked smart and efficiently. I learned a great deal and found that leading by example is a strong way to influence directs to work diligently. What do you do when you're having difficulty solving a problem? I always do my best solving difficult problems. If I have trouble, I will use resources around me, such as looking through the internet, asking coworkers, asking my manager, or looking through some books. What do you do when you feel burnt out? I think it's important to anticipate being burned out before it happens. But if a deadline requires me to work so much that I end up being burned out, I try to relax myself and get re-energized by not thinking about work at home and watching a good movie. What do you do when you have a problem with the direct? In this situation, I believe communication is very important. I'll usually have a meeting with my direct on the problems I have. It's easier to work on a problem together when everyone involved is aware, so I always communicate the problems that I see. Would you like to have your boss's job? Yes. I have several years of experience, and I also took on projects to learn more about management. I don't necessarily want to replace my manager, but I would like to learn more about management so I can be ready when a position is available. What do you know about our product? I hear this group has several functions. It has an incubation team that grows new ideas, and if the product has potential, a new product is formed. I also hear this group creates solutions for companies to entice them to buy more Microsoft products. Why are you applying for a job that you didn't major in? I was planning on going to dental school, so I majored in biology. After working with computers, I realized how interesting and challenging it was, so I studied computers on the side because I wanted a career working with computers. You've been with one company your entire career. Don't you think you'll have a tough time adjusting to a new environment? I don't think it'll be very difficult. I learned that this company is very diverse and has a great office environment. I feel I'll blend right in and make solid contributions to this company. How do you make important decisions? Important decisions are made by knowledge through information and wisdom through experience. I'll gather all the information I can find and then apply my experience while analyzing the information. With this combination, I'm confident I'll make the correct important decisions. Tell me about the best manager you ever had. My favorite manager was very trusting and easy to approach. I grew in many ways under this manager, and I valued his method of dealing with directs. I believe in growing employees, and this manager did a great job. Do you manage your time well? Managing my time is one of my strong traits. I prioritize my tasks, and this allows me to stay ahead of schedule. Each day I manage my time so I can achieve more than I set out to do. So managing my time in a goal-oriented way is what I feel very comfortable doing. During your performance reviews, what criticism do you hear the most? During my review, my manager told me to voice my opinions more frequently. He always liked my suggestions when I told him, but in group meetings, I usually let my manager speak. Now I feel more confident that I can suggest my ideas in groups. Do you want to work for a small or large company, and why? I want to work for a large company because there are different opportunities within the company. I also feel a larger company provides better training. Finally, a larger company already has key processes in place to provide employees tools to work efficiently. Have you fired anyone? And if so, why? I had to fire one employee who continually failed to complete projects. Before firing this employee, I tried to work with him by motivating, encouraging, and even providing different work. In the end, nothing worked, and I had no choice but to let him go. Tell me about your last position. What did you do and how'd you do it? Include the people you worked for and the people you worked with. I was a program manager for a manufacturing company. I was in charge of cost analysis concerning different quantities of manufacturing. I also worked on planning the procedure for the next deliverables. In what ways are you organized and disorganized? Since I work with many files, I like to keep my desk organized. I always have everything in a certain place so I can find things easier. The area I'm disorganized is probably my computer desktop. I usually have so many icons everywhere. I should organize it a little, but I've never needed to. If you're told to do something that you feel is illegal, what would you do? I wouldn't jump to any conclusions. I would rather question my manager to verify if it is legal or not. If I'm not convinced through facts, then I would investigate through other means. If I find it is illegal, I would not continue with the work and inform human resources of this incident. What do you do when a worker is giving the team more problems than helping? I follow a process of helping my coworker out any way I can. This can include assistance in their portion of the work or by encouragement. If that doesn't work, Then we redistribute the work to make sure everything is covered. I believe it's important to let my manager know of the problem as well. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years from now, I want to be a senior sales manager. I'm currently training to become a manager, and if I continue to work hard, I feel I'll have a management position soon. After gaining several years of experience as a sales manager, I want to be in a position where I can train and provide my expertise to newer sales managers.
Tell me about a time you made a mistake.
I was given a project to complete in a week. I understood the project, but I misinterpreted one section. After completing the project, I was told by my manager that it was done incorrectly. I really made a mistake by assuming incorrectly in one of the sections instead of asking for clarification. I learned not to assume through the mistake I made.
Why do you like sales?
I've always liked sales. I enjoy working with and talking to people. I'm good at making people comfortable, and I also like the challenge. In the past with my friends, I heard comments frequently that I would make a good salesman, even before I got into sales. So basically, I like sales because it fits my personality, and I really enjoy it.
Did you do any internships?
I love to travel, and I realize that when I start my career, I won't be able to travel for long durations. So I used my summers to travel a lot. I spent one summer in Europe for 2 months. I spent another summer traveling between China and some Southeast Asian countries. And finally, I took a road trip through the United States.
What was your favorite job?
My favorite job was the last position I held in the marketing department. That's why I'm applying for this job. It's similar to my last position, and I really enjoyed it. Even though I really like my job, I want to experience the same work for a larger company. That's the primary reason for wanting to leave my current job.
Tell me about a time you hired someone.
I found a resume on the internet that was a perfect match for one of our open positions. I contacted the person and we talked for about 10 minutes. During that call, I explained why our company was a great place to work and the opportunities we offered. After a couple more calls, he agreed to come in for an interview, and we made an offer. He became a great employee.
If everyone on the team is a veteran, what will you do to fit in and be a beneficial team member instead of a person who appears to be in training?
I'll study as much as I can to fit into a group of veterans. I know I'll have many questions along the way, but listening carefully and putting pieces together will allow me to catch up quickly. I know I'll be able to be an effective team player in a short time by following this method.
What's the title of the person you report to? What responsibility does he or she have?
My manager had the title Test Manager. She was in charge of delivering high-quality features for each software application. She planned each project, giving a timeline of completion, worked with management from different groups to make sure quality is assured, and provided direction to our team of 20 testers.
Tell me about a time you had a big disagreement with your boss. What did you do, and what was the outcome?
I never really had a big disagreement with my manager. The only thing I can think of was when I recently got back from a business trip. My manager told me I had to go on another one the very next day. In my previous company, it wasn't common to send someone on a business trip immediately, but another employee got sick, so I had to fill in.
If you're happy with your current job, why do you want to leave?
I've been with my previous group for more than 3 years. I was doing the same thing on a regular basis. Although we received different projects from time to time, it was very similar to my previous work, so I had a desire to gain new experiences and learn from different products. I believe having a variety of experience is good for my career, so I made the decision to leave my current job.
What are your long-term goals?
My long-term goal is to become a partner for a consulting firm. I know the hard work involved in achieving this goal, and I know that many people fail to become a partner. That's not going to stop me from working hard, learning everything I can, and contributing to a company where I'll become a valuable asset. I know it's not a guarantee, but becoming a partner is a long-term goal of mine, and I'm going to work towards this goal throughout my career.
If your supervisor tells you to do something that you believe can be done in a different way, what would you do? I would question my supervisor why he or she wants it done this particular way. If I still don't agree with the method, I would suggest alternate ways of tackling the assignment and explain how my suggestion would be better. After having a good conversation, if we still can't see eye to eye, then I would have to trust my superior and follow his or her instructions.
Are you an organized person? I'm actually a very organized person. It's funny that you mention this, because just the other day, my roommate wanted to borrow my suitcase and saw my closet. He made fun of me for organizing my clothes by length and color. I'm like that with everything. It's just so much easier to manage things. However, I'm not picky and don't need to have things in a certain way. I just want things to be organized. So yes, I consider myself organized.
What course did you like the most? I really enjoyed majoring in electrical engineering, and it really helped me to prepare for my career. But the class I enjoyed the most is probably a couple of psychology classes I took. Although it didn't help me in any technical way, I learned a little bit about human behavior and learned how the brain works. I started to understand the reasons for my strengths and weakness instead of just knowing them. Also, it helped me to understand people who are different than me. Have you managed people in any of the positions you've held? I never held a position where I was managing people, but I had a lot of experience where I was in charge of large projects. Although it was my coworkers, I had the experience of taking the lead on projects where I had to manage people for a specific time period. Although I didn't experience the full aspect of managing people, I learned how to bring people together, how to use individual strengths of each worker, and how to organize and break down a large task to distribute to several people. If you could start your career over again, what would you do differently? Well, I majored in chemistry, and now I'm working in the marketing department for a telecommunications company. I had a lot to learn in the beginning, but I quickly learned what I needed to know to be an effective member of the marketing team. However, I always felt that if I majored in business or marketing, I would have started off with a better foundation. I'm great at what I do, but if I could start over again, I would probably choose to have majored in business administration.
What are your weaknesses? I think my weakest trait is my impatience. Whenever I work in a team and a member is not performing up to my expectations, I can get impatient and annoyed. I understand if they are working hard and their portion is difficult, but sometimes a person can't do the assignment due to incompetence or laziness. A while back, I would get frustrated and start complaining, but I realized that I can help out by explaining things to some people and encouraging lazy people by reminding them of deadlines. I know it's bad to be impatient, but I'm definitely working on it.
What could you have done to improve your relationship with a manager you didn't like? I had a manager in the past I didn't like that much, but I couldn't say he was a bad manager. Our personalities conflicted and we had some arguments. This affected my performance and willingness to work in the beginning, but I asked myself the same question. I thought I should try to get along with my manager despite my personal feelings. I set them aside and maintained a professional relationship. Taking this approach really helped. Because I was willing to look past minor differences, our work relationship got stronger, and I performed at a higher level. Give me a specific example at your last position where you made things more efficient. In my last position, I was the manager for a Japanese restaurant. We were located in downtown and realized that not everyone had a full hour for a lunch break. I created a system to turn 5 of our dishes into meals that would be ready in 3 minutes. We put up a sign indicating that we would have meals in less than 3 minutes, and revenues jumped 30%. I considered the location of the restaurant and saw an opportunity to provide meals to customers that would have never considered our meal due to the lack of time. The store owner was really proud of this accomplishment.
Do you work well under pressure? I have a couple of friends who hate working under pressure. I don't know if it's odd, but I really enjoy working under pressure. I use the feelings of pressure as a tool to motivate me to work harder and more efficiently. In my last job, I remember we had a project to complete in 4 days, where it usually took 10 days. There was a lot of panic by some team members, but I assured everyone that if we concentrate on the task and work real hard, we can complete the project. It took a lot of overtime, and the last day we were in the office until 2 a.m., but we managed to finish. It was hard work, but I really enjoyed that experience. Which category do you fall under?
A person who anticipates a problem well, or a person who reacts to a problem well? Being a nurse requires many skills. One of the important traits is to be able to react to problems well. Reacting to a problem well requires the ability for quick thinking, ability to think of all the options available, and maintaining self-control in hectic times. In my spare time, I even think about creative problems that might come up. Since a problem can arise at any time and in any form, I try to be as creative as I can, and I walk through the situation as if I'm dealing with the problem. So this has helped me to become very good at reacting to problems.
Tell me about the worst manager you ever had. The worst manager I had was when I was working at a database company. I didn't like my manager because he was never available. Whenever he was given an assignment, he always delegated the work without explaining the details. We were told to figure it out. I believe you can learn from figuring some things out by yourself, but it was obvious that this wasn't his intention. But the worst thing about it was that I didn't know that he was bad until I changed to a different manager. He kept feeding us false hope, saying we were close to being promoted. Basically, it was a way to keep us motivated to work extra hard. Sure, it worked for a while, but I didn't gain anything else out of it except what not to be as a manager. If you were unfairly criticized, what would you do? If I was unfairly criticized in private, then I would initiate dialogue, asking why he or she thought this way. I would try to understand their point of view and explain my point of view. If I was unfairly criticized in public, then I would be a little upset, but I would wait to address the problem until the person criticizing me was alone. I would do this because if I'm upset, I wouldn't want to start an argument without thinking. So after some time, I would approach the person and ask him or her why I was criticized. If it was justified, then I would use that as constructive criticism to improve myself. If not, then I would tell that person that it isn't good to publicly criticize someone when they are not sure if it is correct. Why should I hire you?
This position is for a quality assurance manager. I'm confident I'm the best person for this job because of my past experience. At ABC Software Company, I was in charge of a team that was responsible for the quality of 3 different applications. I have intimate knowledge of quality assurance, product support, and even some creative processes that will benefit a quality assurance team. I have built a team from scratch and fully understand the product development cycle. Finally, one of my traits is in developing and mentoring junior employees. I believe in transferring knowledge to everyone in the company and investing a little more effort into the people who work for me. So I strongly believe that I'll be the best candidate due to the combination of my experience, my managerial skills, and my desire to provide growth in employees.
Do you have any outside income?
I have a rental property.
What does success mean to you?
Success means to achieve a goal I have set for myself.
What are your strengths?
I believe my strongest trait is my attention to detail. This trait has helped me tremendously in this field of work.
How much do you currently get paid? I received $27.50 an hour at my last position. Do you own or rent your home? I'm currently renting, but I plan on buying my own place next year. Are you considering any other offers right now? I'm thinking about an offer I have, but I want to keep my options open. When are you able to start? I have to give my current employer a 2-week notice, so I could start immediately after that. How would your professor describe you? I think my professor would describe me as a great team member and consistent in my schoolwork. How long have you been looking for a job? I sent out my resumes just last week. I'm very excited to join a company where I can help out. Why haven't you received any offers so far? I recently started looking for a job, but I'm hoping that I'll receive offers soon. What extracurricular activities were you involved in? I was involved in our school newspaper. I was one of the writers for 3 years. Are you able to make frequent business trips? I know as an auditor that I'll have to make business trips, so I'm definitely willing to travel. What do you feel an employer owes an employee? I believe an employer should provide a good work environment and opportunities for growth in return for hard work. If you're given work from your manager that is boring and tedious, what will you do? If it's helping the company in any way, I don't mind doing boring work.